The federal grand jury deciding whether to indict former President Donald Trump in the January 6th investigation reconvened today. Trump's lawyers were there too, meeting with federal prosecutors in the special counsel's office. In a Truth Social post, Trump wrote that it was, quote, a productive meeting. He is set to be on the campaign trail tomorrow in Iowa. So for more on this, let's bring in Scott MacFarlane and Robert Costa. Scott is CBS News congressional correspondent joining us from the courthouse, and Robert is CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent. Scott, I want to start with you, and I know you've been out there reporting in near 100-degree temperatures, so thank you for sticking with us. Can you kind of tell us what exactly happened today and why there was a thought that an indictment may be coming today?
A lot of notable activity, a flurry of it today. The grand jury that has been part of this investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election surfaced this morning and departed late, just as the courthouse doors were closing around the 5 p.m. Eastern time hour. They were not here, as was expected Tuesday, so their presence here today was noted. It came at the same time as Donald Trump acknowledged his attorneys, met with the special counsel, Jack Smith, at Jack Smith's office. Those two things happening in conjunction with each other a week and a half after Trump confirmed he got that target letter, revealing he's the target of a federal criminal investigation, put everybody's radar up. There was this swell of activity at the courthouse as dozens of cameras descended here, some spectators and protesters descended here as well. As the day concluded, the magistrate judge told the courtroom official to tell us there would be no indictments in her courtroom today. The clerk gave the same indication as the day ended. So whatever is happening with this grand jury and this potential indictment is either still sealed, still under deliberation, or still just being kept from us until a later day.
So until that later day, until we figure out what exactly the decision that will be made from this grand jury, Bob, you've been covering this investigation since before it even became an investigation. You've been covering the lead up to January 6th. So we have Jack Smith essentially looking into not only classified documents, but what Trump did leading up to and his behavior on January 6th. Tell us kind of what you see as the questions that you think are remaining for this grand jury. What is Jack Smith really looking at here?
The first cut at this was done by journalists who were investigating and reporting on January 6th, wondering what was going on behind the scenes inside the Oval Office in that post-election period in 2020. And then the second cut came from the January 6th committee in the House. They brought forward a lot of witnesses to testify under oath about what Trump was doing behind the scenes. But not everybody participated in the January 6th investigation. They got some text messages from Mark Meadows, but they didn't get full testimony in a major way. And so now you have a special counsel who has subpoena power in a very serious federal level way to compel these people to tell the full story, the complete story, to fill in the gaps. And so there are really a lot of lingering questions about what exactly was Trump doing and saying as he tried to overturn the election.
Right, because the committee could only recommend what they would like the DOJ to do, and now the DOJ is doing their investigation. When it comes to timelines, Scott, in terms of what comes next, not asking to predict the future here, but we know that this grand jury tends to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Any sense of when we might get more clarity here?
They tend to until they don't. They weren't here Tuesday. At least they weren't seen here Tuesday. It doesn't preclude the possibility that schedule shifts again as the week concludes, as the month concludes, and into next week. We also know, though, that there's a time sensitivity to all this politically. It doesn't mean there's a time sensitivity to this legally. July 27th gives way to August 27th, gives way to September 27th. Federal prosecutions tend to move at a speed measured in months. They don't move like a sprinter at the Olympics. The political reality may not be a function of what they're considering here. The timeliness comes when it's ready, not when it's wanted.
Yeah, that's a good point about the political calendar versus the real one. Bob, speaking of that political calendar, I mean, this comes as Donald Trump is still considered the front runner for the Republican nomination. I want to play a little bit of sound that we heard from lawmakers on Capitol Hill today.
We all expect it to happen. He gets indicted every other day, especially with things happening over in the White House.
Maybe they can get an indictment out of a grand jury, but the evidence that leads to a conviction would be damn difficult to get. And I think it's frankly unnecessary at this point.
I don't think those who are digging up charges to file understand how they are hurting their own credibility and case.
So this echoes a lot of what we've been hearing from Republican voters on the campaign trail, but I'm curious, talking to the Trump campaign and your sources, kind of, they seem to have a playbook of sorts, right? There's an indictment, the Republican Party comes to his defense. Is there any concern that they have about this particular indictment, or do you think we're going to see kind of the same thing play out?
Caitlin, actions speak. And based on my conversations with Trump allies tonight, he's going to be sitting down with a conservative news outlet this evening in New Jersey. Why would he do that? As you know, because he wants to make sure he's connecting with that conservative audience at this fragile political and legal moment, to make sure his own base supporters are still with him, that they're taking his cue, not reading any kind of indictment or news story about a looming indictment. They want Trump to define the terms of how this story is done. The other intriguing part of this whole dynamic is what's going on Capitol Hill. So many Republicans now are pressing to investigate President Biden and Hunter Biden, potentially even consider impeachment proceedings as a way of having politically a parallel track of investigations. So while Trump's under intense legal scrutiny from the Justice Department, they can point at President Biden at the same time. That's not to say they're equivalent from a reporting or legal or political point of view, but it's indicative of how Republicans are going to approach this moment.
Scott MacFarlane and Bob Costa, thank you both for covering this in and out, day after day for us. And we'll have you keep us posted. We appreciate your time and reporting.